Hello, all benders and non-benders, and welcome back to some more Avatar Generations. Today we have got a new banner that we can summon on, as well as some new quests revolving around Water Tribe, Waterbender characters. Starting out here, we do have some new login bonuses, just a week, get a few nature stones, a few summon tickets, and finishing off with a 4-star, 5-star support ticket. That's always helpful. If we take a look here, first thing you see is this new pack. Now this one is mostly just for the materials. You do get a minor number of summoning materials. I honestly would not go for this on any day of the week, but of course that's up to you. Now if we take a look, we have, like I said, a new banner that we can summon on. We'll take a look at that in just a second here. But we also want to take a look at the events that we have. We have one more set of event challenges, mostly revolving, again, around Water Tribe, Water Element heroes. We have winning activities as water, or with a Water Element hero in your team. We have doing some pirate domain levels. To get some extra energy, you can upgrade your support. That's like the animals that you can equip to your characters. If we go down here a bit, you can get some gold. That's pretty easy, especially if you can do like stage 5 pirate domain. That's almost 1 million right there. We actually do get some nature stones. Never a bad thing at all. Just for completing some of these challenges, as well as the event currency of this particular event. We'll get to that in just a second here. And then completing just any activity battle, pirate domain, arts expeditions, anything like that, with your water element hero will get you some more ascension materials. Again, why you really don't need that paid pack, because the essential materials are not rare enough to justify that price tag for that number of materials. Another upgrade support here. These 3 are for spending tickets in just a summoning banner. I don't know if this necessarily requires the Water Tribe banner. I'm not sure. Regardless, I wouldn't necessarily call it worth it. I mean, it's just 110 pull to complete all 3, but I really wouldn't declare it worth it, since all you really get is food for your supports. Speaking of worth it, this is very much worth it, which is to complete adventures with a water element hero. That's like the little walking around. Now, pro tip. If you are trying to be efficient and do a bunch at once, like we've seen in the past, that will only count as 1. Now, I wouldn't necessarily consider that a huge deal, but if you're trying to make sure that you do get all of these candles can be very important very quickly. If you're trying to make sure that you're getting all of them, you might want to kind of make your Katara go 1 at a time, just to make sure you are getting as much progress as possible on these. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, gotta be completely honest. That might be just how the system reads it, and might not necessarily be intentional, but not sure. And then we just have spending the currency to get some offensive stuff. So if we go to the shop here, we do actually have 2 new event shops today. We have this one for Nation Water. You get actually 5 summon tickets, which is pretty huge. 1 for a 5-star support ticket, never a bad thing. And then 2 Owl Wolves. It's a 3-star. If you've done any summoning, you probably have several of these guys by now. But fortunately, it is the one that grants crit rate to offensive heroes. So as a 3-star goes, it's not that bad, actually. I regularly get quite a bit of use out of it. It's not going to set you any records, but crit rate can translate to more damage. Never a bad thing. Okay, and then we actually do have one more event page. This one revolving around spending your boss coins. You can actually get 3 summon tickets, 1 each for the specific boss coins, being Zuko, Aang, and the Inagi, and then 2 more summon tickets for the regular boss coins, plus just some essential materials here. If I were to take a guess, I'd say this is probably for one either Katara or Paku. So yeah, that's totaling up to 5 from here and 5 from here, totaling up to 10 free summon tickets. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. But that's really the breakdown of that. If you really want to focus on anything, just make sure when you're doing your activities, make sure you do have Katara on your team. Everybody gets a free Katara at the very beginning of the game. Just make sure she's on there so you can be getting that credit towards those events and getting yourself some easy loot. Some of this loot, it's not exactly setting records. I mean, like, skip tickets, they're not that rare. The essential materials can be nice, and the candles down here are really nice, because I don't know about y'all, but I am down bad for some candles. So if we take a look now at the Four Nations water summoning event. Now I'm going to call this little segment Should You Summon, basically, where we're going to go over what it has and whether or not I think it's worth summoning on. Now, the first thing to keep in mind is that these are not new characters. There is actually a new relic on here, but these are not new characters. But as such, you actually only have 150 summons to get a guaranteed character. I say only 150, but that's still cheaper than most. So we're going to take a look at it and see what we've got here. We've got 2 main 5-star characters, and then we've got a few of the supports here, or excuse me, a support and 2 relics. First thing we've got here is we've got Bending Master Katara. Now this is actually an offensive variant of Katara, running with the Bending Master, Team Avatar, and Water Tribe. If we look at her main ability here, deals bending damage to all enemies, so even her basic is AoE, which is pretty neat. And 25% chance to freeze each enemy. I would imagine that this would increase if you do get skill level ups. So basically, you're hitting all 4 enemies, and you've got a decent chance to freeze them. Statistically speaking, not factoring in resistance, statistically speaking, now this is not going to happen in practice, but statistically speaking, you'd pretty much always freeze at least one of them. Just 25% chance, 1 out of 4. If we look at her other ability here, if we can just get that pulled up here, we have deals water bending damage to all enemies. This would basically guarantee that you would get the water element debuff on the enemy. And you instantly gain an extra turn if this skill defeats an enemy. Now, you'd definitely have to make sure that at least one of the enemy is on low health if you're going to be trying and sneaking out this extra turn. If they're not, you might want to hold off on this one until you're actually able to get that kill. And then we're going to go to her passive here, which kind of makes her into an offensive support, basically. When an ally's HP falls below 25%, when the ally's HP falls below 25%, heal the ally and increase turn bar of the caster, that being Katara, by 35%. So, I don't know if this is like a cheat death mechanic, or if it just grants heals and that's it. I don't know if, like, let's say you get nailed by a boss and you drop immediately. I don't know if this would allow you to cheat death. I don't think it would. But basically, when one of your 3 allies, and this can happen once for each ally, if they drop below that threshold and survive, they get some health restored, and Katara gets some turn meter. Never a bad thing. So that's kind of what we got here as far as offensive Katara. Some arts I imagine would be very helpful for her would be, of course, you know, speed. Crit would probably be really good as well, just so that you can pump out as much damage as possible. And now we're going to take a look at Paku here. Water Tribe, Bending Master, and actually a White Lotus character. One of, I believe, 2, the other one being Iroh. And he is an offensive character as well. If we look at his basic here, he deals bending damage to one enemy, and then additional damage to the other enemies if it happens to land a crit. You can already see here, crits kind of being important for him, just to make sure that he is hitting as many enemies as humanly possible. If we look at his advanced here, he deals damage to all enemies and has a 50% chance to freeze the enemy with the highest speed. And if he gets a crit, again, some crit synergy there, he has a 25% chance to also freeze the enemy with the lowest speed. And just a reminder for freeze, it does stop the enemy unless you hit them. If you hit them, it does break that freeze effect, so it can be a little hit or miss on bosses, but if you're in just like a regular battle, if you get a freeze on a character, you might want to leave him alone for a bit. And then his final ability here, he gets increased crit rate for 1 turn based on how many debuffs he has. I can see that one being a little hit or miss, as with a lot of arts, you're going to get some resistance probably. I mean, not necessarily, it's a secondary stat, so you can't avoid it, but it's kind of a give and take thing where you might avoid getting debuffs, but you might not get the crit. So it's a bit of a mixed bag on that one. If we take a look at what else we have here, we have the support, Tui and La, Moon Spirit, Ocean Spirit, just grants a straight increased attack to water element heroes. Can't go wrong with that. That's a fantastic support. Now this one is a cheap death relic. This one just heals HP of an ally once somebody reaches 0. Now, this is only once. It doesn't happen for each ally. This will only happen for 1 ally, but it might save somebody in a pinch. And then we actually have a new event relic here. This is not in any kind of basic summoning. This is just for this event here. The Ceremonial Drum. Now this one actually is interesting because it grants you a chance to increase your speed and increase your attack whenever the opponent, keep in mind, it's the opponent, uses an attack that hits all allies at once. So this is assuming that your enemy has AoE abilities. That's not always going to be the case. For the bosses though, like for the Inagi, he definitely does hit all enemies. So you can kind of see how that would be useful for him. However, I'm going to maintain to never summon specifically for relics and supports, as while this one is certainly nice because you can get that effect support for your team, you're very rarely going to get more than one, unless you're me going for Yang Shen's statue, in which case rates are out the window, but that's neither here nor there. So if I'm going to judge this, I'm going to judge it purely on the basis of the characters. Here's what I'm thinking here. Now, of course, you do whatever you want to do. I personally would hold off on this, and I have a few reasons for saying that. One, Katara and Paku are not limited 5-star characters. They are in Tales of the Four Nations, which, not that I would really recommend summoning on that, but they're also in here, the guaranteed 5-star character summon banner. We're actually, as the time of recording this, we're going to get a free ticket for this in about a week or so. That could be Paku or offensive Katara. It could. It's not the highest chance in the world, let's be real here. But I'm just saying that just because of that, you might want to at least hold off. And there's always the chance that these characters could pop up in something else that might be a little more worthwhile. Like, for example, if we look at the Festival of Peace banner here, we actually did have 5-star Toph, 5-star Sokka. In another Peace Chaos banner, it could be Paku, it could be Katara. Who knows? Not even talking about upcoming stuff. Upcoming, we're probably due for Boomy anytime now. Which is no doubt going to be a more limited event character. If we're setting precedent based on Suki did not go into the main 5-star pool, for lack of a better word. She was limited. Boomy is almost undoubtedly going to be limited as well, and you might want to save your hard-earned event tickets for him. So I'm going to give this a hold on it at least. Paku can be tempting if you're really down bad for waterbenders and you're trying to do some extra stuff to the Yanagi and he's really giving you trouble. That one I can see. I can see that being a reason to summon. Keep in mind though, we probably will get the waterbender pirate as a powerful opponent one of these days. And if she follows the same precedent as the Dojo Master did, she'll be borderline free to play, which I would definitely keep in mind if you're really feeling down bad for a waterbender. I think your needs will be met pretty soon. So yeah, I would give that a hold for now, but of course that is your choice what you want to do. So that's about all I've got for you here. Very kind of cool stuff here. The rewards are certainly nothing to sneeze at. Of course, the standout being the nature stones and then the summoning tickets, basically 10 free summoning tickets just for playing. Never a bad thing at all. But that's about all I've got for you today. Hope y'all have found this helpful. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and like. Really helps me out with the growth of the channel. And that's about all I've got. Y'all have a good one.